Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Gal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Spence is going to be a little late, and Nick is always, I guess, maybe and maybe and maybe. We'll see. Oh, there's Spence. Morning.
Hello.
Hello.
I thought I'd be a little later, but
All right. That's just fine. You're just in time.
perfect.
Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, by DudeIt.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear.
What is the channel for remote viewing? Telepathy. Don't we have a telepathy channel?
We do. It's down.
It's down. Oh.
The
We just joined by.
the telepath is asleep.
Yeah, that's yeah.
It's
Sometimes
it's in a pseudo radio.
Oh well.
Anyway. So what is happening?
What is happening?
Spence, why were you going to be late?
I got a late start. I actually got up late. I did the special. I didn't think I'd be done that soon, and then I said, you know what?
Okay,
I have to get cleaned up. I have to take a shower. I have to get woken up.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd be later than I was, but I said I can't rush because I'll trip over something and hit my head.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, those nights when you're up for like 3 hours during the night. It's like, why can't I sleep? Nothing going on. Not worried about anything. Just wide awake.
That's what happened
So-
when you go to sleep at 7.
I don't go to sleep at 7. 7:30.
I went
Not
to
7.
sleep at 9:15. And yeah, I did
I have my
wake up.
fitness tracker watch, and the other night I slept 9 hours, and then last night I slept about 5. So,
Oh.
it's all right.
It all evens out.
The key is that you wake up.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
Oh,
I came across something. You know how we always complain about sales tax this and sales tax that, and maybe we have to pay it here and not there. I came across an interesting story that goes, how would you feel if every online purchase, except domestic purchase, you made was subject to taxes amounting to 65%?
can I move there? That sounds great.
Additionally, it's being non-refundable on your tax return.
Ooh.
That's the reality in Argentina today. Can you imagine?
What's the tax in Europe when you add VAT and all that stuff? I remember
It's still
traveling
not.
and
It's still not that.
no,
much.
but I mean total tax. Maybe not on a purchase, but total tax is upwards of 6.
Yeah, but
VAT
the
is
thing
like
about- VAT is like between 8 and 15, depend on the country, right?
Yeah.
But VAT is a tax that you only pay if you're a citizen, unlike sales tax over here.
But you have to, if you travel, you're going to be charged VAT and you have to apply for a refund.
Right, but you can
Yeah.
get the refund. Here
You
in the
can.
States, you cannot get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
no, but I
it's-
mean, what is the total tax burden?
No,
If
that's
you
the
add
only
up all
tax
of
you
it.
have on a purchase.
No, I mean total, like they pay all the taxes too. So what is the,
You mean income
what does it
tax
come
and
out to be?
everything?
Well, income tax will be, I think income tax is similar to here,
Yeah.
anywhere between the 20 to the 35, maybe, right? Israel is around 35%. That's the average, if I recall correctly. I mean, things might have changed a bit, but that's around the ballpark
Yeah.
average. I don't know about Europe, but I think it's similar.
Yeah, I think it's.
And we have VAT in Israel, so you have that 35 income tax plus 16 or 18, depends on the year. It fluctuates for VAT. So
Yeah, I remember one time figuring out what it was here with federal. I used to work in New York City, so I used to pay city tax too. And thank goodness my income at that time wasn't that high. So it really wasn't that much of an impact. But, and you didn't really think about it back then because it was maybe, I don't know, Amnon, what was it back in the 80s
I remember 8%.
total?
Yeah.
Like state and local?
When you go
Yeah.
in and you pay it. It was I remember 8 when I moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here you can be anywhere from, most people are in the 12 to 20 something % tax bracket here, federal. Most people that I know anyway.
Oh.
Amnon, you're up in like in the 60%, right? Because of your income?
I'm in the 75.
75%. Yeah. Mhm.
Got to top Argentina. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't. What?
I was going to say, don't cry for me, Argentina.
Google
cry
is
for you.
abandoning plans to pitch bank accounts to its users. I never knew that they were doing this, they were planning for it. Yeah, they were going to be a bank. They were going to set up bank services for users. So
interesting.
they decided to abandon it, marking a retreat from an effort to make the tech giant a bigger name in finance.
Could it have something to do with some of the recent? I actually got a message from my credit union urging me to contact my representatives about the new IRS regulation they want to put in place for all of your bank transactions. If you have more than $600 in the bank, they'll track every transaction.
Oh, the IRS?
IRS. Yeah, it's out there. What they came back was to say, well, we're not really sure what the number is going to be. It might be more than that. But Janet Yellen, the head of the Federal Reserve, had a statement about it the other day. She wants everybody's bank accounts tracked. You are tracked now. Any transactions over $10,000 are flagged.
Over 10,000.
Yeah. But this is the Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce came out and said this is unacceptable. Can't do this, and you need to contact. They're putting out. I got an email from my bank, and I got a statement. I saw a statement, I should say, on one of the web pages I go to that said the Chamber of Commerce has come out against this, and saying it can't be. There might be a compromise. I don't know what's going to happen.
So they're going from 10,000 to 600 last you heard.
But it's not
That's
just
everybody.
With the 10,000 though, it's just that transaction. It doesn't. It's not,
that's
this
true.
is like anything. If you have $600 in the bank, all you go and you use your debit card to take $25 out so you can buy coffee. Tracked. That's what they're saying, is that they want to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
What happens if you manage your account somewhere else?
That's it.
Good
They
question.
can't. That's why people do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that easy, right? Because you need to transfer money from here to outside.
Well, that's the thing.
but
You'll still, if you have a local, I don't know what it.
A
I don't know
paycheck,
what it's going to
you
mean.
get
It
it local.
depends. I don't know what it means. It's just that I
mean-
was surprised that what made me pay attention to it was that the credit union sent out this note. They are absolutely diametrically opposed to it. They said we can't impose this on our depositors, and the cost of doing it will be outrageous. They said to do.
Oh,
report.
so
Right,
they
that's
have.
the thing.
Okay, go ahead, God.
No, that's the thing that seemed like who's going to pay for the tracking?
Yeah.
The tracking itself is complex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh boy, Eesh. So they
We'll see.
want the local banks. I mean, the bank where you banking at to
Oh, yeah.
track you.
They're responsible for it.
Interesting.
So that's probably why that's probably their biggest objection is taking that job on to do it. Pam worked at a bank, and she said there was a form. If there was a transaction over 10,000, there was a form they had to fill out and send it in.
Yeah.
So, it was more of a DEA thing, right? Because they said transactions over that amount of money are suspect because of money laundering.
Because of, yeah.
So,
Well, maybe it got to the point that 600 is also
oh gosh,
money laundering.
wow.
Yeah, who knows? Oh, boy. Let's see. What else?
I actually
There was
built a Windows 7 machine.
You built.
And you may ask, why would I do that?
Okay.
Just because I came across all these old games,
Yeah. Oh,
and the easiest way for me to run those games was to use the XP mode in Windows 7. It was the simplest way. I mean, I actually have on this machine. I have a virtual machine set up with Windows XP running on it, and I just could never get the screen resolution right, or there were issues about it that each game I install had to have different settings. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So now I set up I installed a version of Windows 7 Ultra, or Ultimate. Yeah, and I'm using it now, and it works great. It's got there's no issues. The only thing that was weird about it is that I did find a consolidated roll-up of updates because the one I installed was Service Pack 1, and because I still had those disks. And I was not able to. I know that they still do occasionally patch Windows 7. I don't know if they're completely done with it.
they
even
do.
though they said they
do
weren't.
just security.
Once in a while they do. But if you cannot turn on the Windows Update service, it won't start. Because it goes and it says checking, and it says cannot establish a connection. So I just I found a consolidated roll-up of security checks and security updates and all that going back a couple of years, and I put it on there. I'm not using it for internet. I mean, I put a browser on there so I could go out and get drivers, but that was it.
I wonder what would happen if you disconnect it from the internet. If it'll still go checking.
Oh, I have an internet connection. It's just saying that cannot.
No. My point is disconnect it from the internet.
Oh no, I have to start the check. I have to manually go in and say check for updates, and it won't connect to the update server.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, so does that mean that you cannot use the computer if your wait. If your internet is down?
Nothing to do with that. It has to do only with me wanting to see what updates might be still available for Windows 7 and getting, to get as up to date as I can. But it just won't let me attach to the server. But I accomplished what I wanted to do with the roll-up.
Yeah.
Microsoft still has, you can still go and get a official Microsoft roll-up of up to a certain date, all the Windows 7 updates. It's a big file. I mean, it's like 500 meg. You can download it and you have to install. There's a interim service patch update you have to do first, and then from there you can go and do the other ones. And I think it's 4 individual updates contain all of the updates up till I think it was like late 2017 or 18, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to use the machine for anything else but playing these games.
No, finding time. You play games.
I think all you need to do is update the root certificate, and you will be able to use Windows updates. There's a few resources on it. I'll skim through them and I'll send you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I did not go through the typical install process. I mean, I wasn't all that concerned with as long as all the drivers worked and I didn't have any issues with video and audio. So,
well, drivers, you can use snappy Windows drivers update.
Yeah. Well, these I only went and got a couple because most of them were found. There was only one that was missing in Device Manager, and I had to go find it. And it was something I didn't really care about. But everything, I found the Intel video driver, it found everything. The USB drivers, everything was all found within the Windows installation itself. So there was no issues with that. Sound, everything worked. When I was playing around with loading the Windows XP in the virtual machine, that's where I had issues. So it ran, but not very well.
Listen to this. Slack appears to, this is from last week. Slack appears to be having issues for some people. Remember that. With reports coming in of users who can't connect to the service, receive errors when trying to send messages, and can't even access Slack's website. The issue doesn't appear to affect everyone, and Slack hasn't gone as far as calling it an outage on its status page. The difference in experience pointed to a possible routing issues or the even more likely culprit. What would it be? What would it be? The likely culprit?
DNS.
DNS.
It's always DNS.
And that's exactly what they have in brackets. It's always DNS. I think they are listening to us, and they.
Are you saying that we can have bumper stickers made and we can sell them?
It's all DNS.
It's always DNS.
It's always DNS.
Yeah, the thing is, it's DNS when it works, and it's DNS when it's broken.
So it's an accurate statement.
Yeah, I went through some DNS hell internally, and
so
I know it's always DNS. Nothing much to tell. I have a.
Do you remember even what it was, or it was just a matter of let's change this? Let's change
solving it is never clear cut. I remember what it was. It's just I have a bunch of services running from within my network, right? And they're serving my internal network as well as they're serving me when I'm outside my network. So I have a DNS server. I have the registrar's DNS server that manages my external identity. And when I need to reach out to the servers internally, I need the IP to be internal. Now I have 2 physical machines running these services, like split, right? Some machine runs, and on one of them I have a DNS server. That DNS server serves the house. So everybody who gets an IP address from the DHCP server also gets that DNS server as its. The thing is, me being a smartass, I'm running the DNS server inside a Docker container. It's not just a DNS server. It's actually a DNS server filter by AdGuard called AdGuard Home. Fantastic piece of software, by the way. And what it does, and what one of the things about running a DNS server as a Docker service is how to expose the ports. Because if you're running inside a container, right, you want the ports to be accessible. In this case, I need the ports to be accessible to the machine itself that's running it, as well as the outside LAN, right? The LAN itself. So it starts to get complicated because the safest way for me to run something in a Docker is to give it its own IP. To give it its own IP, there's some Docker networking acrobatics that I needed to go through. Specifically, if anybody's interested, it's called the IP LAN. I don't remember right now. I'll find the.
It's all right.
Yeah, and so IPNet, and the whole idea of this IPNet is it doesn't insert a new network interface card. So no new MAC address, but a new IP. But there's a barrier. That specific interface inside the Docker machine cannot communicate with the Docker host itself. So that creates another complexity, and I needed to figure out how to fix it. I figured it out at the end. AdGuard, specifically AdGuard, it provides a way of providing an answer based on who's the requester, who's the client, and so by that, the host is getting one set of answers. My LAN is getting another set of answers. And if you're outside of my LAN, then you get the outside world answer. It took some time to figure that out, and until that's figured out, things don't work properly, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and when you're in the thick of it, also you don't think straight, and many times you do things that really are not what you're supposed to do. But I mean,
Exactly.
The frustration makes it even worse. You look
Right,
and
right.
everything looks right, you know. Yeah.
Trust me, it was days solving this. Like it was another day and another day and another day.
Yeah.
And I leave the day thinking, okay, this time it'll work. And I come the next day and things are broken because something didn't work the way I thought it would. Opened some discussions with the developers and just trying to figure out another way of doing it. And this is a limitation of that software. And it's like you're hitting walls from left and right. And so, yeah, eventually, right now, well, I won't say eventually, but right now, touch wood, I think it's working.
You talked about it. It's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that as we are going to finish the show, something will come up with DNS. I already know that.
No. No.
I need you to write lyrics. You know that song is all about the bass.
Yeah.
All about the bass, you need to be all about the DNS, the DNS. Come up with some clever words and we'll record it.
I'll talk with my dad. He's a poet. I'll talk with my dad.
All right.
Talking about security on the web and all that.
There is some?
Telegram-powered bots are being utilized to steal the one-time passwords required in two-factor authentication security. The ransomware threat is growing. What needs to happen to stop attacks getting worse Is it getting worse? On Wednesday, researchers from Intel 471 said that they have seen an uptick in the number of these services provided in the web's underground. And over the past few months, it appears the variety of two-factor circumvention solutions is expanding, with bots becoming a firm favorite. While 2FA can improve upon the use of passwords alone to protect our accounts, threat actors were quick to develop methods to intercept one-time password, such as through malware or social engineering. And according to Intel 471, since June, a number of 2FA circumventing services are abusing the Telegram messaging service. So they said that, I mean, it's a one-time password. I don't know how long it lasts because I never use it. But just the fact that they can do that, I mean, it puts them on a path, I think, to be able to break into accounts.
So wouldn't that require, does the bot captures it, but then doesn't somebody have to act on it because a two-factor authentication key will time out?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know how long those one-time passwords last. I mean, if they last for a few minutes.
A few minutes. Depends on the ones that I use, anywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, depending on the who does it. Yeah. It should be like what was that secure ID you used to have? The little card that would give you a new number every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need, is like a 30-second pin.
But that's, I mean, this is one thing that I do not get. Why the tech world, the banking world, right? Whatever, why they went with SMS based two-factor authentication. I cannot understand that. I just cannot, because the first form of two-factor authentication wasn't that. It was a physical a chip with an LCD display showing random numbers, right?
Yep. Secure ID,
which are synced with a server. And the evolution of that wasn't SMS-based connection, and not even, I mean, the first one was email-based, right? We're sending you an email, click the link, right? But the going from that, the natural evolution was what Google Authenticator made very, very popular, right? And it is a very easy implementation.
I remember.
And I do not get why that implementation isn't the one that is being adopted, because it costs zero in infrastructure compared to the SMS one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I remember the original use of that was to dial up. When you connect to a modem bank, you would use the secure ID, and that's how you got you had to get, the code would change. I thought it was 30 seconds or some short amount of time, because I remember.
You're talking about the physical key.
Yeah, the physical card. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's still the same concept.
And it was inexpensive. It required no connection because of the way the servers worked. The software was in sync with itself. So you could be anywhere. Didn't matter. You didn't have to have a connection for it to pull the key down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it means you are the only one, because you are the only one physically holding that key, right?
Yeah.
Now, yes, you can duplicate the data used to initialize the key if you use a software-based key, but still, it's 10 times safer, right, than trusting another system. And here it's like, okay, maybe they can't hack our server that provides the random numbers, but they can still hack the phone system. They can still spoof a call. They can, and that part of trusting another system, right? That blows my mind. That it's like, haven't we learned anything?
I don't get it.
Have you, Gal, did you ever use YubiKey?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they still make it. They have they have one now with a lightning connection, so you can use it for your phone.
Yeah. So where's the, here it is. So I've been playing around with YubiKeys, and I gotta say I'm not a fan. So I have them, but I haven't found use for them because I think the random generated number works better.
Really?
So really, Amnon, really. So this is the latest generation. It's a USB-C, so you can plug it also to a cell phone, and usually you have a USB-C today on laptops. Mm-hmm. And if not, you have an interface between them that you can plug it to USB. This one is an interesting one. It's not. It's some other manufacturer. So when I plug it in and I hit the button, right, that's exactly like the YubiKey. But I can hold it like this and click it, and I think you'll see it flashing.
We heard the noise too.
Yeah. So
that was my phone.
There was a noise. It's flashing and it's communicating with Bluetooth BLE, Bluetooth low voltage. I don't remember how they call it. Low energy. And theoretically, if your phone or your laptop supports that, right, then you don't even need to physically plug into the computer after you paired it once or something like that. So yeah, it's getting to a state where it's getting more useful, but unfortunately, the reason I'm not a fan is they're not ubiquitous. It won't work everywhere. I mean, even on certain machines, I was thinking of using it, to log in to the computer at home, just making sure, right? And this is something I can live in the computer while I'm at home, and have each family member have their own. It's clunky. It still isn't perfect. It's not working. It's like a DNS issue. I'm always chasing some issue with it, right? And so the random generated number, while still a bit cumbersome, it's still the best solution that gives convenience and security at the same time. I don't see that with SMS. I'm sorry.
But if you have a system that doesn't work real well, that provides you with better security.
Of course. Yeah.
Security by inconvenience.
Through obfuscation. Yeah, through inconvenience. Yeah. That's always, I don't want to use this system.
Yeah.
That way it'll be safe. Yeah. That way you don't put your social security number in.
That's right. I remember listening to Gibson's Security Now podcasts every week. And it got to the point where they would go on for like 2.5 hours with, who was the guy who used to be the host of that show? He was a big internet. He was a big computer guy. He was up there with some of the early birds and, Security Now with your host. And I can't remember the name, but he was a big fan of YubiKey, Gibson. And,
Gibson is the guy with SpinRite?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a SpinRite guy. Yeah. I can't remember his first name. Why?
Steve.
He's a strange
Gibson.
bird. Yeah.
He is a strange bird. Let me tell you. He was the guy that uncovered security breaches inside of XP and then Windows 7 that he just had a campaign to try to get Microsoft to fix, and they finally did. But he would go in and find the most obscure stuff.
Well, whenever I hear the name Steve Gibson, I think about the article that he wrote in Computer Shopper. Remember Computer Shopper?
Oh, yeah.
And he said that that's it. We reached the end of the line. We cannot go any faster than 33 megahertz 386. 386. That was it.
Well, that didn't last long as an article.
Now, Moore's law kicked in like what, 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was Leo Laporte.
Leo
was the
Laporte.
host.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that. Yeah. I remember that guy. I remember watching him on YouTube from time
I think
to time.
he's still doing a show. It's
Him I liked.
Oh yeah, he was good. He had
Yeah.
other shows. Yeah, but he was the one that would team up with Steve Gibson.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I
his
learned,
show isn't as good as Computers UK now. Yeah, let's make
No, he's not.
things clear.
but I really enjoyed listening to that stuff when I'd walk. When I was still working from home, I'd try to take a walk every day, and I'd listen to snippets of the podcasts. And if I skip ahead, I'd try to find out. He would always publish a transcript of the podcasts. And so I'd say, well, what is it I really want to listen to? So I'd find out how far in, how many minutes in, and I'd listen to it, just whatever the subject was. So I learned a lot from that.
Interesting.
all right. Here's something. Again, we're going Apple bashing. With the recent release of iOS 15, Apple appears to have made some changes to Siri functionality that have removed features relied on by low vision and blind iPhone users. This is coming
man.
from Mac Rumors. Several Siri commands that provide detail on phone calls, voicemails, and sending emails no longer appear to be working. The following commands used to be functional but have recently been removed. Do I have any voicemail? Play my voicemail messages. Check my call history. Check my recent call. Who called me? Send an email and send an email to a person. Over the last 2 weeks, several emails from iPhone users who are missing this key Siri functionality, or their relatives who are attempting to help them navigate the changes. The Siri feature removals also been documented on the Apple VIS forums for blind and low vision users of Apple products. Asking Siri to provide details on recent phone calls or voicemails results in the following response. I can't help with that, but you can ask me to open the phone app.
That sounds
Asking about
painful.
email garners a similar response from Siri, being unable to help. Now, it's worth noting that it's still possible to ask Siri to play the most recent voicemail message that's available, or a voicemail from a specific person, but Siri will not read out a list of the available voicemail. The Siri command seems to have disappeared when iOS 15 was released, but iOS 14 users are also not able to use them anymore. So it's not an issue tied to iOS 15. Why something like this is not fixed right away and has to make it into the news?
Is 15 a formal release already, or is it just out there?
No, this is
in
the
testing?
latest.
I don't have 15 yet.
Yeah, that's the latest.
I want it.
I think they were saying. There was some story that was saying not to update because there was other problems.
Well,
if
with iOS,
Yeah.
it's exactly like with a Windows update. The first reaction of the market of reviewers is don't update yet. Right?
Oh no, I think there was a story we read that said that Apple told people not to do it, or maybe it was not. So it's interesting.
Apple
might
won't
still be
tell
in
people
developer.
not to do it, they'll stop it. It'll be
It might
easier
still be
for
in
them.
developer mode. They might not actually have a form. Then Verizon's not pushing it yet because I'm at 14.8.
Well, Verizon as a network provider, they always have a delay between what iOS is developing and pushing to what they call the unlocked phones, right? the non-assigned network ones. That is,
And that's not necessarily a bad thing
yeah, but
because
that's
it saves them from having all kinds of headaches trying to deal with it.
yeah, but usually it's just because they want to add their own features, right? So,
True.
yeah. I don't know, something
What?
something is fishy.
Yeah.
I when I got my new phone recently, I got an unlocked phone. I didn't buy it from Verizon. I bought it from Apple.
Oh,
no, I just wasn't going to go to Verizon. I mean, I went down there when I had an issue with my phone. I had to switch when I was trying to change the battery and it failed. I wanted to use one of my daughter's old Moto phones, and I had an issue getting it to work. So I went down to the store and they helped me. They were good. The guys in the store were great. I just had to wait somebody to help me, and they got the phone working. And sure enough, doing that somehow changed my contract to where the price went up again every month. Pam was losing her mind because you could see like every month the price goes up.
Yeah, that's Verizon.
And so she got on the phone with them and said, if you can't fix this right now, we're gone. And she finally got a hold of a guy that went, oh, no, they made a change. I don't know why they did this. This is not supposed to happen. It's like, this is our life with you. It's not supposed to happen.
Could he change it back?
He did.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Did he give you a refund?
Yes. But the
Good.
price is still unacceptable.
Now imagine how many people don't go your route.
Oh, of course. They don't notice it. Or
Yeah.
they do, and they don't do anything about it.
Yep.
Yeah. The only reason we haven't moved.
In Hebrew, we call it shitat matzliach, which means the I tried method, which is what the company does. They try to get your money.
Yeah.
And usually they succeed.
So Amnon, you were the one who told me about when you left.
Yeah.
They were telling you that there would be a fee.
Yeah.
So whatever happened with that? Did they try to charge you the fee?
I went ahead and right away I removed the auto pay and all that stuff. Oh no, that's right. I was getting invoices. I was sending checks.
Yeah, I don't have.
But I finally
auto-pay.
got a collection agency notice. And I called the collection agency and I explained. And they said, oh, they cannot do that. Let me see. I think it has somebody. I think that collection agency is part of Verizon anyway.
Oh, it must be.
Because at the end of the call, when everything was fine, she said, thank you for choosing Verizon.
Yeah,
But,
so it's the.
But what
Yes.
happened is she went and she asked me for the invoice number, so I gave her blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, it looks like you bought an iPhone 12 and you are trying to cancel. I said, no, I was trying to buy an iPhone, to upgrade one of the phones to iPhone 12. And that's the reason I'm leaving, is because you could not do it. Oh, well, let me go. And back and forth. And at the end, she said, well, I figured there was about a $60-some difference because I used it for so long. She said, do you mind paying that money and we'll make it go away? I said, that's what I asked to begin with. I wanted to know how much did I use it and what do I need to pay? She said, okay, so I said, will send you a check for that money. And that was it. The next thing I got from Verizon was 0 instead of being like 490 or something. I can't remember what. Yeah, they try, like Gal says.
So here they get the official.
Yeah. No, and I gotta say, I mean, I am so happy with T-Mobile.
Yeah, they're they're all pretty much the same, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like
You know what?
Yeah.
I know people with T-Mobile. We traveled on a trip to Europe with them,
Mhm.
and Verizon stuck it to me to use their service when I was in Europe, where
Yeah.
T-Mobile was free.
yeah, T-Mobile has it included in most
Yeah.
of their packages. Yeah,
And
that's
I had
what
to sign up with Verizon that whatever phone I turned on the broadband with was charged that day like $10 a day
Ugh.
for 24 hours. From the time I turned it on, I was charged 24 hours. So we kept it to where I only had one phone on. We didn't do it every day. And then I'd turn on my hotspot so Pam could connect. So it was
Right.
like, this is insane. And then my friends are with, I'm just using my phone, calling, everything. It just comes, it's all free.
Yeah.
So I wound up spending about $50, $60 just for really sparse
Mhm.
coverage, which is insane.
And yet you're still with Verizon.
Well, I have other issues. If it was me, Amnon, just me and Pam, we'd be gone already.
Yeah.
No question.
What other issues?
It's because it's the four of us. It's
Yeah.
It's Eve and Emily too.
Yeah.
So, and they have individual issues. Emily bought her phone from Verizon
When?
recently,
Oh,
and she has insurance with them on her phone.
okay.
So it's all kinds of complications. And I was like, I'm going to get to the point where it's going to be, and they're concerned. My phone should. Eva's concerned that she wants her phone to work, and I said, I don't think you're going to have a problem.
No, I mean this is why I was glad that Hannah waited until her phone was on the fritz, but it was already paid for and everything, and then she did all the research, and
we
Dad,
would
you
have
should
been
go.
with Spectrum had it not been that my Eve's Motorola phones, they don't work. They don't support Motorola.
Yeah, they
at all.
only support certain
Yeah.
amounts. You're right.
Two brands. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Plus you have to keep.
You can also find out how much you still owe on on Emily's phone.
No, she bought the phone outright. She was paying. She was paying it on time.
So what's stopping you?
So she has the insurance. She wants to keep the insurance going. I don't know that she'd be able to get insurance from anybody else with a bring over phone. So she needs her phone. She's willing to pay that per month.
Yeah. No, I mean,
so it's just one of those deals that it can fall out of your pocket and break, and they'll come in. You just walk in, I'll give you a new one. So,
yeah. All right. Are you ready for specials?
I think so. Hopefully, I can see it well enough here.
Why? What's wrong?
Wait a minute. I just made a mistake here. I zoomed out too far. Hang on. I had the image here. I was trying to make it a little closer. All right. I think I'm ready.
All right.
So today's special is there's no specials. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. So the front page is self-explanatory. I have nothing to say. I did get to this a little late today. I made sure I got it done and sent it to you, and then but I can't be responsible for the first half hour I worked on it because my mind was just not
somewhere else
awake yet. Yeah, it was here. It just was addled. So all right. So starting with Staples, we're back to the typical three: Staples, Office Depot, and Best Buy. I tell you, supply is very interesting. If I go by the ads and what is actually on sale, it's interesting to see. Printers, the prices of printers have climbed. There isn't anything under like $139 that I could find for sale. Or on sale, anything. It's really amazing. Brother continues to not have any printers. They weren't even selling any Brother printers at Best Buy or Staples. Nothing. They did have HP. They did have Canon. They did have, it was one other brand. I can't remember. Epson. So, all right. So Staples, we have a Asus 17.3 inch i5 laptop for $529, which is $160 off. Got a Lenovo 15.6 inch i5 for $499, which is $200 off. Got a AOC 24. I didn't know AOC made monitors.
AOC?
Is that a
Sure.
sideline for her?
No.
No, they
I
always
thought that's
make
all
money.
they made.
No, I mean AOC.
Yeah, AOC.
You know, no, AOC.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
oh,
about.
AOC.
AOC. She's in Congress. I didn't realize it's a sideline. She makes monitors. Okay. It's a 24-inch LCD for $139, save $30. Got a Lenovo Idea Center i5 desktop for $499, which is $100 off. An HP, and this was the cheapest printer that they had on the Staples site. $139 Envy 6055E all-in-one wireless color printer.
Yeah, it's
It
an
does come-
inkjet.
Inkjet, yeah, it is. It says first 6 months of ink free. I don't know, it has to be limitations on that, on how much
Yeah.
they'll give you. They'll say, we'll give you free ink for the average user. Okay. And what's that? That's 10 prints a week or something like that, whatever it is. But it's $139. They do have a brother. What they did have was brother scanners. From the basic scanner, this is one up from the basic. This particular one is a brother DS940 wireless portable document scanner, auto duplex, $169, save $10. Got Logitech MK470 slim wireless keyboard and mouse for $39, so $10 off. And we've got a Epson Rapid receipt printer. Now, I don't know that they would typically go, they're so expensive. This picture makes it look like it's a big printer.
I know.
It's not. It's a receipt
Small one,
printer.
yeah.
So there must be something special about this. But its regular price is $499, and it's $50 off of $449. Rapid receipt. So I've never seen. I typically look at the point of sale stuff.
That's not a printer.
No, it says receipt.
It's a scanner. It scans it into your computer. I
Oh, I'm
guess.
sorry. No, they did have a printer also. I'm
Okay.
mixing that up. You're right. They did also have a receipt printer. But yeah, this is the reason this is expensive is because it's fast. But it does have the sheet feeder, which is nice. I think it's up to 32 or more sheets at once.
Maybe it
but-
does the OCR in the hardware.
I don't know. I would believe if it's rapid, it's got to do something in the hardware because it would take forever for the OCR software to run. Thank you for pointing that out. I did look at they had a whole bunch of stuff from Epson on sale today, and the only thing I thought was noteworthy was this.
Okay.
So $449, I don't know if it's a good deal. That's on the high end of these type of there's Fuji Scan, and there's Canon makes one, all these different types of, they're amazing. I mean, especially for receipts, when you could put them in there and it auto crops and does the OCR, and you can have software to catalog them. So if you're in business, you need to collect receipts. Having one of these, and you do a lot of them, don't know how they would handle receipts of different sizes in the scanner and in the sheet feeder. So I would think you have to put through cash register receipts. You narrow the alignment bars on the side. You can feed them through. So for casual use, I prefer the small portable scanners because they auto align. You stick the page in there and it pulls it in, and then it will scan it in. But it's on sale. That's why I mentioned it. Got something called a Logitech electronic height adjusting desk. This is not on sale. $299. But I like this because it's simple. It's not where you have a desk and then a second tier that goes up and down that holds your keyboard or something like that. I thought it's in a decent price range. We've got an HP 27-inch LED curved monitor for $219, which is $70 off. And finally, Logitech M510 wireless mouse, $24.99. Not a sale, but I the other day I typically use the ones that come with the keyboard mouse combos, and they tend to be pretty and cheaper combos. They tend to be inexpensive, not a lot of function mice. But I did pull out another mouse that I had bought a while ago that has all kinds of features on it to use with the other Windows 7 machine that I built. And I was like, yeah, this is actually worth paying $25 because of the extra features, extra wheels and extra places to click and programmability and all that. It makes it worth it. And so that's why I put that up here, because normally I'm not a fan of buying a separate mouse unless it really does something good. I do have one of those ergonomic mice that you let your hand stay vertical instead of horizontal when you use it, which is great because I have trouble. Otherwise, I have trouble with my wrist. But that was not a Logitech mouse. Okay, so that's it for staples. Moving on to Office Depot. We've got an Asus Vivobook 15. It's a 15.6-inch screen, AMD Ryzen 3, $349, which is $140 off. Got an HP 14-inch touchscreen, AMD. This is an entry-level machine. AMD 3020E with a 4 gig of memory, a 64 gig eMMC for $289, save 25. 20? I can't read it. Red letters, 20, save $20. Got an HP 15.6-inch Ryzen 7 for $599, which is $115 off. And we've got a Lenovo Idea Center 5 Core i5 desktop computer, $599, which is $170 off. Here we have the Epson EcoTank ET2720 Super Tank. Super Tank. What does that mean? Super tank.
It means that they have a tank for the ink, and then
the tanks are
tubes.
refillable.
No, I was asking it rhetorically.
Oh,
yeah, it was just super tank. Does that mean like a tank truck pulls up to your house with 4 hoses
good.
and refills your printer for you? Super tanker. They have an airplane flies over and it gives you airborne refueling. So super tank wireless color inkjet all-in-one printer, $199. So this is definitely going to be in a business class printer or a specialty printer, high capacity printer, inkjet. But it's what is that? $50 off the regular price. It was kind of hard to find stuff on their webpage today. It kind of really drill down. Some days it's very well laid out. Other days you just have to dig to find stuff. And the reason I put this headphones up there is not because I think the price is so attractive. It's a JBL Live headphones with mic on ear. Doesn't say over ear. It's on ear, Bluetooth, wired and Bluetooth. So it's got what I like about this is it's got the option for wired. So if you want to use a cable and not use Bluetooth, like for example, I have an old iPod that the Bluetooth doesn't work. I'd never had Bluetooth. One of the old iPod touches, or it just doesn't work anymore. So if I want to hook it up to headphones, I have to use a cable. I have one of those 3M Work Tunes, AM, FM receiver ear protectors, which is great. I just replaced the earmuffs because they literally fell apart. But I can't use it. It doesn't have Bluetooth, so I can't connect. So if I want to listen to some music or a podcast when I'm working outside cutting the grass or whatever, I have to use a cable. So this would be a nice, the fact that it has all these features. So it's $59.
Did you get one?
This one? No.
Oh.
No, I'm looking at one because I tend to either watch a video or listen to music when I fall asleep. And the earbuds I have, if I fall asleep with them in and I roll over onto the pillow, I wake up hurting my ear. So I've tried different things. I got a headband thing one time. It works okay, but it's not real comfortable. It's flat. You can play the music through that. But the problem is it's not an earbud. So if I have it up high enough, Pam can hear it. And I don't want to bother her with the noise. All right. So we have something called the Uncaged Ergonomics Work Easy Executive Laptop Desk with fans and USB ports for $54.99. It's only $250 off, but it looks interesting. It's adjustable, where you can set the angle of the laptop with the built-in cooling fans and USB ports. It's pretty cool. I've got a 5-pack of PNY USB 2.0 16 gig USB flash drives for $19.99, which is $25 off the regular price. I think this is a great deal on a SanDisk Ultra 1 terabyte SSD for $89. Now, maybe this is one that's in the category of misleading you on the type of flash memory that they used. Maybe that's why it's cheaper. I don't know. But $89 save $110. We've got a Western Digital 4 terabyte external drive for $94, and then a Western Digital Elements 1 terabyte portable external drive for $47.99. If you don't have a local backup on your machine, critical machine that you use for work, whatever, someplace you want pictures you want to save, even if you have a cloud, it's worth it to get a small USB drive and run the software locally. You can use the software that's on board, or you can use something like I use and Amnon uses called Second Copy, it detects any change to any file that you set it designated folders to cover, and it will save it automatically to whatever drive it is. I have it saved to my network drive. So anything I use for work, as soon as I'm finished with that folder, it saves it. You still use it, right, Amnon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great software. It was worth buying. I used to have a copy from work, but that license isn't valid anymore back in the day. So that's it for Office Depot Office Max. And finally, with Best Buy, we've got a HP 11-inch touchscreen Chromebook, Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, 64 gig eMMC for $379, save $220. Got Asus ZenBook, which is an AMD Ryzen 5 14-inch laptop for $594. It's a clearance item, $105 off. Got a Lenovo Yoga 2-in-1 13.3-inch touchscreen laptop, Ryzen 7 for $749, which is $200 off.
The Yoga is the one that the screen flips to the other side.
Flips back. It goes into tablet mode. Yeah. I have an older version. I have a Dell convertible where you flip it back and it goes into tablet mode, but never used the tablet mode. It wasn't very convenient. And when you flip it back. Yeah, the keyboard is exposed. So it isn't like it rotates.
It isn't functional, right? It switches off.
Yeah, it does switch off the keyboard, but I just don't like the idea that I could damage the keyboard. It's working fine. Pam uses it, and when I first got it, it had an eMMC in it, and I upgraded it to a regular flash drive, and I put more memory in it. So it's an acceptable machine. Works good for her use. So I've got a Lenovo Idea Center 24-inch all-in-one, non-touchscreen all-in-one, Core i3 $599. Save $70. Got another AOC, another one of her monitors here. AOC 23.8-inch screen for $149, save $40. Got a Samsung 2 terabyte SSD for $169, which is $60 off the regular price. Got a Western Digital 2 terabyte USB 3.0 portable drive for $59.99. So it's worth it $10 more. The one I had in the last ad was for $49 for a 1 terabyte. This is $59 for a 2 terabyte, $50 off. Got a 5 terabyte external drive, same brand, Western Digital Easy Store of $107, which is $72 off the regular price. Not a lot of sales on printers here either at Best Buy, but they do have an HP. This is the cheapest inkjet I could find. HP DeskJet, 4155E wireless all-in-one inkjet printer with 6 months of instant ink. Instant. Oh, it just falls out of the sky for $109.99. They have the TP-Link Casa Smart a Wi-Fi outdoor plug. I have one of these. I use it for my crawl space because I have a fan and a dehumidifier down there that I control from my phone. I actually have it working through Alexa. I have the fan, a schedule. I set up a scene on Alexa for turning the fan on and off to circulate the air. So when the dehumidifier runs, it gets to all parts of the crawl space. But $19, $10 off, works well. You can use it outdoors, like for holiday time, for decorations or whatever. So I highly recommend the TP-Link stuff. I have several of their smart plugs, and I also have smart switches built into the wall, switches that control my outdoor lighting. So good stuff.
And you have to have faith that it actually did whatever it's supposed to do down in the basement. I mean,
I can tell. Space. I can hear if the humidifier is running. I can't hear the fan if it's running, and if I do have a power outage, this recovers. Some of the stuff I have doesn't necessarily recover. I don't know I can't remember what it was now. There was an issue where I had to go and I remember what it was. If the power goes off, the dehumidifier, it resets back to a certain humidity level.
Yeah.
So I have to go down there. I don't use it to turn the dehumidifier on and off. It's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I have it on a smart switch is if I want to reset it back to it starts at 50%. I have it set a little higher than that. And so I can turn it off if I want to. The fan definitely gets turned on and off by itself because I don't want it on all the time. We've got this is an interesting device. I was reading about this called Phyn, Phyn, Smart Water Assistant. And they do make a whole bunch of other accessories to go with this. It is a water usage and control device. It will actually put a transducer on your pipe and it measures water usage. So if you have a rental property or you have a place where it's also an alarm, it will detect the leak because it'll detect water running continuously. It takes a while. I mean, I prefer a wet sensor to turn off the water if there's a leak because as soon as it detects the water on my hot water heater, it shuts the valve off. This would take a while because it's got to measure unusual water usage.
Right, but you can combine it, right? Because it sits on the pipe and it can close. It can close it. So
yes, it can. It does all kinds of. You can look at their whole line of stuff, but Phyn, I don't know how you pronounce Phyn, but the Smart Water Assistant. It's $229. It's on sale. It's $70 off, and that's at Best Buy. So that's it for Computers 2K Now specials for October 3rd, 2021.
So you mentioned you have some old earphones that, did you say they were Bluetooth or they didn't have Bluetooth?
No, they were not Bluetooth. They were AM FM radio with a plug, a mini plug to plug in. They do make a new version. In fact, I haven't had a reason to replace them yet. It's ear protectors with built-in sound. So I use it for working outside.
Have you thought ever using something like this?
Oh yeah. I actually have a battery powered one, a small. It's either a receiver or a transmitter.
Right. So this is this. I use these for flights. So I don't need to be plugged physically to the flight entertainment system. Yeah. Right. And I just hook it up to like a very.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And then I use my Bluetooth one, but this one is also you can switch it for transceive and receive, and so transmit and receive, and so you can make any headphones, right? The Bluetooth receptors. So
the one I have, it looks like a little puck, and it's the same thing. A couple of different brands, yeah. And I use it for I have a set of Bluetooth earbuds I use when I watch TV. Because especially with watching any kind of British show that's got accents, I'm like, if I have it a little louder in my ears, I can actually understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are.
Yeah, those are great.
They're
Those are
good.
very handy. I have a couple of those laying around for different things.
And I remember when buying them first, they weren't cheap, but when you find a good one where there's no latency, no detectable, no noticeable latency, then it's great. So
the one that I have, the little puck one, when I first got it, the pairing sequence was a little. There weren't a whole lot of buttons or switches, and you had to rely on the lights to tell you what was going on. And now that I understand it, if I have a power failure, it doesn't lose its programming, which is good, but I have to go turn it on and I have to do something with the earbuds to just invoke the pairing. Normally, I just turn the earbuds on, it connects, so I don't have to worry about it.
All right. Thanks, Spence.
You're welcome.
Igal?
Yeah.
So that sensor with the two outlets, that would be something that Home Assistant would like.
Sensor to outlets.
The thing that the control, the thing that Spence
the
had.
Casa Smart Wi-Fi plug.
Yeah.
Or so yeah, Casa is something that Home Assistant works with. So remember, when you're talking about Wi-Fi stuff, most of the Wi-Fi stuff connects to a server outside of your home.
Right.
Right. And you control it through an app that communicates with that server.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the manufacturer's app.
Right.
So in this case, a Casa app, a TP-Link one. When you hook up to something like Home Assistant knows to talk with that server.
Mm-hmm.
But it still goes out of your home.
Yeah.
There are some very few Wi-Fi solutions, which, while they do have an outside server that you connect to and you can work with their app and all that, they also have an option of disconnecting from the external server and publishing itself as an IP. And Home Assistant knows how to work with them. They're called. I'll find the name in a sec. I don't remember them right now. They're very popular. They're usually cheap. The Chinese manufacturer makes the chips. They're not very expensive. I don't know how well is the security on their web services, because basically what happens is on that small chip that manages the Wi-Fi, there's also a web server running, waiting for some REST request over IP.
Right.
So I would venture that if somebody gains access to your network, they might be able to hack into the web server over there. I don't know what else, right?
Yeah. No, I'd rather have stuff that works locally, because also,
right,
the minute the internet goes out, and nothing that's controlled by a server off site works.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad I asked.
I'm less worried about internet going out as much as I'm worried about the business going bust. These are, especially when you're buying a cheap a plug somewhere, right?
Yeah.
At one point, I mean, the biggest thing was Wink, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
They literally, like 5 days notice, they decided they're going to charge for the service.
Right.
Hey, I have a Wink controller. Can I sell it to you? It's on sale.
I'll tell you what we used to say in the Navy. Say, you can paint it blue and throw it to the ocean.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the predominant color in the Israeli Navy is blue, whereas the U.S. Navy, it's navy.
No,
gray.
it's the Mediterranean.
No,
it's blue.
It's the Mediterranean is blue, so it disappears.
The ocean is blue. So, well, we don't have an ocean. We have the Mediterranean Sea,
Right.
right?
Yes.
We don't have an ocean. So
Yeah, but you can get out and not see not see land, right?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good enough.
Instagram is pressing pause on plans to develop a version of its service for kids under 13 after facing pressure from lawmakers to back down on the effort and new questions about the impact of photo sharing service has on teen girls. So apparently they were going to do something Instagram for kids. They stopped.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like some patronizing politicians understanding nothing. But it's not like I'm sad or anything. It's
No,
just
it's interesting. It's
yeah, but it's
interesting.
not like there are. I don't know. YouTube has YouTube Kids, right?
Yeah.
So Google is already in that space.
Yeah, but
So suddenly Facebook is stepping aside because lawmakers ask them. No, I think they found that there's no money in it or something like that, or there's not enough money in it.
No, there was a big push from people that say, "Hey, can't do that, can't do that."
And what would that push say?
I have no
You're
idea.
going to make less money, or
Yeah.
that push was going to say, it's like, I don't buy the excuse. That's what I'm saying.
That's all right. That's it. The point here is they stopped.
Stopped.
Here is
They
something.
delayed.
Here's something that's interest to all of us. In a new milestone for the U.S. government's anti-robocall effort, phone companies are now prohibited from accepting calls from providers that did not comply with the Federal Communications Commission deadline that passed last week. Beginning this was, I think, last Thursday. If a voice service provider certification and other required information does not appear in the FCC's robocall mitigation database, intermediate providers and voice service providers will be prohibited from directly accepting that provider's traffic. That's what the FCC said. What does it mean directly? I don't know. Directly accepting, it's words here. Specifically, phone companies must block traffic from other voice service providers that have neither certified to implementation of stir/shaken caller ID authentication standards, nor filed a detailed robocall mitigation plan with the FCC. The STIR Secure Telephone Identity Revisited and Shaken signature-based handling of asserted information using tokens protocols verify the accuracy of caller ID by using digital certificates based on public key cryptography. So it's almost like there is a list. It's almost like a blacklist, but it's sort of like a whitelist. Yeah, they certify.
It sounds like a whitelist.
It sounds like a whitelist. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you are on the whitelist, then you can accept. If they're not, you cannot accept that. It's going to
When
be
it comes to the
interesting.
phone system, I would say that is a good thing,
Mhm.
but don't choose the same. So when I'm worried that this will be flagged as a victory, and then the government will say, okay, let's do that for email. You get what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. And I always said that the way to stop spam is to have a mail server Whitelist.
In a way, yes, but that means that introducing a new mail server,
Yeah.
right?
You have to.
is-
It's just like
is
DNS. It's just like DNS.
r-
I mean, when we had to set up the DNSs for Delta Force, which is public facing, we had to go through a process that says yes. I mean, everything is legit here. It's not just set up a DNS and it's running. Now, I don't know if that's the way it is right now, but we had to do that. So if it's being used, they know that this is a legitimate one. And
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I mean, I do know that today, right, setting up, in a way, it might be make things easier. But today, setting up a mail server,
Yeah.
while the technical side of just spinning up a mail server is easy,
Yeah.
getting it hooked up today to a system that won't be blocked by Google, by Outlook, by
Right.
Yahoo, all
Yeah.
of the big mail providers, is a chore.
Mm-hmm.
It's complex, and you get into blacklist from time to time, and then you need to ask to be removed.
Right.
And maybe a whitelist would be better, but then managing a whitelist of something like email, that'll be costly. That means mail will cost more, right? Right now, all of the cost of email infrastructure is mostly on the free providers, and they're doing well.
On the provider.
Yeah, on the free providers, right? Most of it. I'm saying most of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There are still services like yours who sell, right, email services, and so the burden will fall, I'm guessing, on those small companies, and that's what I'm worried about. When it comes to telephony, there are small players. It's not only huge players, but it has been such a mess that, yeah, it's probably time to clean that up.
It's got to be cleaned up.
I gotta say, in Israel, right, when we visited, we now have an Israeli line, get some, especially because of two-factor authentication with banks over there and stuff like that. So I have an Israeli line to receive SMSs. I don't get any spam. And the not only robocalls, I don't even get any SMS spam either. If I do get an SMS from an official robot, let's say like a two-factor authentication, something, it doesn't come from a number. It comes with an ID. So I see that it comes from the health ministry, and it says health ministry, and there's no number. There's some sort of authentication handshake around the identification. And so I believe that it's just using a different protocol in the backend, probably those protocols that you read in the article. And it just probably means that the US has been, because of the distributed nature of everything in the US and privacy laws, that probably we're slower here to adopt these protocols that are probably already widespread in other parts of the world. So
maybe
I don't think Israel is a pioneer in anything of that. So it's just they're probably using some European protocols. That's my guess, anyway.
it's possible. I mean, there's a lot of things that are not being implemented for email that can be implemented. And I talked about it quite a few times since the beginning of the show, and the fact that you have to have a qualified domain path. And
Or just having a small configuration error in their setup.
Well,
wreak havoc.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I think they're not enforcing that. I mean, there is a very nice line in the mail server control file that will stop any spam from unknown or from things that it knows what to look for. And
Let me ask you this: your mail servers,
Yeah.
are you using a whitelist?
No, it can't. You
Why
can't.
not?
Because we tried that, and what happened is that some of the bigger names
Hmm.
are not companies are not configured correctly, and you block them, and you can't do that. I mean, I used to spend
Right.
hours calling companies and say, "Look, your mail server is not configured right. Please fix it because we are blocking you." But after a few days of doing this, said, "The hell with this!" I mean, it will never end. So that's why
This is
you
interesting.
cannot.
This basically means that while distributed, the concept of having distributed systems, right? It is very democratic, it is very open, it is very free, right?
But it's abusable too.
Exactly. It's easily abusable
Yeah.
when it is not controlled, when
Right.
it is not governed somewhere.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the talk about we talked about the Signal for
Yeah.
as a very secure network, but they are not distributed, right? There are some distributed solutions where there's no single point of failure, there's no single server. But when the guy heading Signal had to talk about it and explained why they chose that, he said, the hassle of managing something in a distributed system, right, is you lose control over what you want to secure. And so sometimes, right, being open with what I'm running, allowing you to duplicate me and doing whatever you want is great, but I need to retain control of the servers that I am running. And so I will give you everything for free, but I'm going to run the infrastructure. And that's an interesting thing, because it seems like we can't have completely free if we want to make it usable. Right?
Let me tell you something. I would actually, as Delta Force, I would rather pay a fee, a reasonable fee, every month,
Right,
to have an updated list of legitimate mail servers, and to say, yes, this is my whitelist. I receive from all these with no problem. Anything else, there you have to handle in a different way. It doesn't exist.
Right.
It doesn't
But
exist.
you do understand that even if you had that,
Yeah.
right, then the
It
discussion just shifts, and
Yeah.
then everybody talks about the politics of how things are
Right.
getting into and
Yeah.
not getting into the list.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever you look at it is a chicken and an egg situation, right? Either we're fighting spam and we're fighting that.
Yeah.
And the real question is what's better. And yeah, that's an interesting discussion.
Instead of having to check every email to see if it's spam or not, and using blacklists to see that, yeah, we already checked this and it is spam, so you block. There are so many positive, false positives, that you have to relax the rules. Here, that's it. If Gal has a legitimate email server and he lists it, and there we know where to go to, then that's it. I receive from him and everything is okay. If Gal abuses it, then I take it out of the whitelist.
But then so abuses it, right?
Yeah.
That's when it starts getting interesting. Oh, so you have some porn on your site. Maybe I don't want you to send emails outside. You're on the politics right, or you're on the politics left. Maybe I don't want you to be on that list, right? So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you can't make this type of decisions for your customers. Who, I mean, if you block a right or
But that's
left.
the thing. The
Yeah.
moment you start preparing a whitelist and you need to decide who goes into the list and who
Only
isn't on the
if
list,
you're legitimate, you go in.
defined legitimate.
Legitimate
Right?
means
That's
you
the
are
problem. You're starting to get into politics.
you are listed. You are no. It's got nothing to do with politics. You are listed. You are. It's just like you getting a driver's license. You can drive, but you have to go and you have
So
to
how
give.
do you take somebody off the list? Somebody reports you, right? How do you know that the report is legitimate?
Let's put it this way. I will take somebody off the list if I do get spam from them and people complain. I would
Robert,
leave.
you're talking about a centralized list managed somewhere, either by a government entity or by a private entity. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Right. But you have an entity that manages a list that everybody uses. You're getting into politics. There's no way around it. Look at Twitter. Look at Facebook. Look at they need to sift through, even if they want to say, the moment they say we don't want to touch anything, then there's an uproar because there is things that are happening that other people are not for it. And that's why building a whitelist is probably more complex than fighting off with a blacklist.
Yeah, it's not going to be
right?
something that will happen overnight. Absolutely. I mean, and then the maintenance, the maintenance could be.
That's the thing.
Yeah. But it's just like, and that's not a good example, but it's just like that do not call list. You had to call them, to get in touch, to write them, and to tell them this is my number. They would verify that this was your number by sending you email and blah blah blah. And at that point, there was a list that says this number you should not call, whether you call it or not.
But the problem is the do not call is different because that's a legal philosophical thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean? With the do not call, it says you can only come and complain if you're on the do not call list.
Right. Okay.
That's the problem with that list. Is not you can't go and say I've been abused unless you did some work to put yourself on that list.
Yeah.
And that means you are open to attack until you do that action. So it's the government's way of saying they are allowed to harass you however they want unless you say no. So that's the problem with the do not call list. But again, that's using a blacklist. That's using it's not using a whitelist, right? It's always down to politics, no matter how you look at it. I wonder how this telephony thing will act out.
We'll have to wait
how
and see,
the politics of it will surface. It'll be an interesting ride.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So after the coronavirus, we'll have 2021's telephony wars.
Wait, we need to have a select committee set up in the Senate and the House to investigate this.
Yeah.
Select.
But I'll tell you what, maybe we need to go back to 50s switchboards where
somebody
some
will
lady in the basement, she will route every call, and she'll decide if the call is worthy or not.
No, he's not around.
You cannot use that language, young man.
All right, let's switch gears here. A new script allows you to install Windows 11 on devices with incompatible hardware, such as missing TPM 2.0, incompatible CPUs, or the lack of secure boot. Even better, the script also works on virtual machines, allowing you to upgrade to the latest Windows Insider build. This new script was released as part of the extremely useful Universal Media Creation Tool wrapper, a batch file that allows you to create an ISO for any versions of Windows 10 with Windows 11 support added last week. While the main script of this open source project is the media creation tool BAT used to create Windows ISOs, it also includes a script named skip ppm check on dynamic update .cmd, which configures the device to bypass compatible hardware checks. Now, what one thing is they don't say here, they said that they'll allow you to install it. Is it going to run afterwards?
Or how long will it continue to run?
Nah,
At what point will there some flag come up and say, "Oop, is there a check? Did they build in a check mode?"
It might. I mean, people know. People already have solutions on how to bypass activations on Windows.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it'll run. It's not that big of a problem. It's just I find it really funny. It's like the company comes up with, "We will not allow," and somebody says, "But sir." Are you sure about that? It's
look again.
Yeah, it's exactly like iOS fighting off jailbreaks, right? It's like, okay, we got everything tight and it's closed. Not a week goes past and says, excuse me, if you do this and this and this, we can get in. Yeah.
But couldn't they, even if they don't impose hard and fast checks and balances, if they don't add drivers, that blows people out of the water. So how do you get around them?
Then you use some other tool to get the drivers, right? There's always a solution. It depends on how. It's always about how much inconvenience they're going to put you in when they're not supporting you. But it is never blockage. I don't think they will get to the equivalent of bricked systems with Windows. I don't think they'll ever get to that point, right? Because the computer, unlike a phone or unlike a console, a gaming console, there's no contract that says this belongs to the software manufacturer, right? This is the hardware, and I'm putting my software on it. And so software will always be hackable, the same way as hardware will always be hackable in a certain way. Sometimes the methodologies are not just easy, they're not as easy to get to, but everything's hackable. And so if you go and say, no, as a manufacturer, then the crowd will say, you think?
if anybody spent any time in business, especially working for a company that develops products, you know that they will never tell you what's really going on in the background. They'll come up and, this is our new product is coming out. It's going to be great. It does this, it does this, it does this. We'll have it by this day and it costs this much. All of it is a lie. It's just having worked for 3 major manufacturers as a product development person and marketing person and a new product introduction person. Literally, there's battles that are going on inside companies for features. We used to have to fight to we want a feature to go into the next release of our IP soft telephone product. Well, here are the 100 features we're looking at. We can only do 5. Which ones do you want? And it's like, well, my customer, I have a big customer. And it was shit. That's the way it is. It's just, it goes on in the background, constant battling over messaging and what you're going to say. And you can't say that. You can't reveal what's going on with Microsoft now. These decisions, what level are these decisions made? There's a marketing person who comes in and may know technology, but doesn't know really how to design and develop it. That says, oh, we need this feature. We need this to do. We need to block this. And the people in the background go, that's nice, but they'll never, like you said, Gal, somebody's going to figure out how to get around it. But the people in marketing don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah. All right, listen to this. Ransom and breaches. American luxury retailer Neiman Marcus has just disclosed a major data breach impacting approximately 4.6 million customers. That was Friday. And it's coming from Ars Technica. The breach occurred sometimes in May 2020 after an unauthorized party obtained the personal information of some Neiman Marcus customers from their online account. Neiman Marcus is working with law enforcement agencies and has selected cybersecurity company Mandiant to assist with the investigation. Thursday, Neiman Marcus disclosed that its 2020 data breach impacted about 4.6 million customers with Neiman Marcus online accounts. The personal information of these customers was potentially compromised during the incident. The bits of information include names, addresses, contact information, username and passwords of Neiman Marcus online accounts, payment card numbers and expiration dates, although no CVV numbers, Neiman Marcus virtual gift card numbers without the pins, security questions of Neiman Marcus online account. Although the data breach occurred over a year ago, Neiman Marcus states it became aware of the incident this September. So they didn't for over a year, right? May 2020.
I'm gonna return all the stuff I bought at Neiman Marcus.
The cookies?
I don't think I've ever been in one of the stores. I've seen them. They don't have them here.
No, they
but I've
don't.
seen them like out in California.
Yeah.
I've never been in one.
That's again.
Did they get any? Didn't they get any Bitcoin wallets?
Do they sell that? You go into the men's furnishings department and they have Bitcoin wallets.
Here's something else that
leather ones
is kind of, I don't know if it's funny, but I don't know how they're going to do it. The European Commission, the executive arm of the European Union, has announced plans to force smartphones and other electronics manufacturers to fit a common USB-C charging port on their devices.
Woo! Woo!
The proposal is likely to have the biggest impact on Apple, which continues to use its proprietary Lightning connector rather than the USB-C connector adopted by most of its competitors.
Today, but they give you a Lightning to USB-C adapter. What's the big deal?
Come on. The rules are intended to cut down on electronic waste by allowing people to reuse existing chargers and cables when they buy new electronics. In addition to phones, the rule will apply to other devices like tablets, headphones, the watch it spends, portable speakers, video game consoles, and cameras. Manufacturers, what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Manufacturers will also be forced to make their fast charging standards interoperable and to provide information to customers about what charging standards their device supports. Under the proposal, customers will be able to buy new devices without an included charger. The proposals only cover devices using wired, not wireless, or chargers. There is plenty of room for innovation on wireless. The spokesperson for the commission subsequently confirmed to The Verge that a USB-C port is only mandatory for devices that charge using a cable. Really. But if a device charges exclusively via wireless, like Apple's rumored portless iPhone, there will be no requirements for a USB-C charging port.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that last part, I don't really care for that. But I'm trying to think. This is going to literally blow up in so many
I know.
cases.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying literally is because even though the connector USB-C, which I am all for all manufacturers to adopt, don't get me wrong, right? This sounds like a wet dream for techies today to have a single connector
Right.
doing the work, right?
Everything. Yep.
The thing is that not all USB-C chargers are the same,
Oh,
because
no, they're not.
USB-C has a complexity to it, right?
Mhm.
Which some charge at 15 watts and above, right? Like a laptop, and other charge like 2 to 5 watts or 10 watts, like a cell phone or a smartwatch or something like that, right? So it's, I don't know, something about the letter of the law that bothers me. But all in all, finally, there's gonna be some cohesive choice around it. I just feel like I thought market powers were already taking care of this. You already see USB-C more and more and more.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like,
bought for the first time. I'm a big fan of buying power strips that have USB built in, especially the travel kind, which are really convenient. You can buy a 10-foot cable with one of those wall hugger plugs, and on the end you've got 2 AC outlets and a bunch of USBs on it. I
Right.
bought my first one that's got 2 USB-Cs on it plus a regular USB plug for travel. It's great. I mean, it was like $14.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but the thing is, what God is saying, that the devices has.
oh no, I'm real.
But
What
not
I'm
only
saying
that,
is it's USB-C is
Yeah.
mainstream
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
It's out
it
there.
is.
It's cheap.
It is.
It's,
exactly.
it's no reason to not do it.
So if that law would have come, I don't know, 5 years ago, it would have been interesting. But right now, it feels like this law is aimed specifically, right, at Apple, because Apple is the only big consumer electronic consumer manufacturer that hasn't adopted USB-C only on one of their devices, only on their iPhone, because everything else is USB-C now, either wireless or USB-C. So something feels like, what's going on, right? So the big guys are clashing, and we're going to get hurt because, I don't know, it'll take out of business some small electronics manufacturers, because they wouldn't be able to handle the shift as fast as the law wants them to, but they would have gotten there eventually with market forces. I
Does this
mean, there
mean-
was no law outlawing Betamax when VHS came out, and it never became a law. It just happened.
Does that mean we're not going to get a USB-C powered microwave anytime soon?
That I actually think we will. I'm not saying it's a good idea. It's just we will.
I'd like to see the power supply for that one's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Or you'll have like a 10 or 20 USB-C adapt chargers lined up when you have all the cable, a consolidator cable to plug in the USB
Look,
to the
in a
back of the
way,
micro. What's
this
that?
is Edison's. In a way, this is Edison's wet dream. We're going back to DC.
Yeah. Yep. Well, if you talk to people who are off the grid, most of what they have is DC lighting. They have all kinds of appliances now that run on DC, and an inverter is pretty efficient now. But the people that I've met and the products that I've looked at working in Alaska for are all DC, because it just has better characteristics for. There's no sense
for
in
local
having it.
power consumption. Definitely.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And to keep the power,
problem-
LED lighting is amazing.
Yes. No, look, most of what we have at home, right? Most of it, if it doesn't have a motor, it actually works on DC.
Yeah.
Right? Your TV, it plugs to an AC, but there's a power converter inside.
Right.
Everything inside it is DC. The lighting today, as you said, LED, right? Everything is DC. There's some sort of converter so where
And it's actually
Uh,
low voltage.
Yes. So inside the home, we're using DC, except maybe your fridge and your AC, right? So and your washer dryer. The motorized stuff, they're still direct AC, but most of the time, the problem with DC is long distance.
Yeah, transmission.
Right, those wires, right? If we didn't use AC, then we wouldn't have electricity.
And it means you'll still have a lot of waste heat
Exactly.
from the conversion process, whether it's an inverter or a transformer.
Right.
So if they come out with a DC standard, a company says, I have a new DC, we're going to set your house up completely with DC, all smart managed and all that stuff. And then they go out of business and they say, you have 30 days to convert your house to another standard.
Well, in a way, I mean, if you think about it, I think I wonder how the Tesla home battery works. What does it feed? It probably has a converter from the DC that is stored in the batteries, right?
Inverter.
An inverter that changes the current to an AC.
Yeah.
So there's some oscillator creating the AC
The wave
power
frequency
to the home.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wanted. I mean, here we have UPSs.
Yes.
It's so stupid for computers. Why
Right.
couldn't they make a computer run on 12 volts?
Well, you
It
have those.
runs on
They're
12
called
volts.
laptops. They're called laptops.
Yeah.
A laptop is a PC with an internal USB UPS, right? That's exactly what it is. So,
Well, I mean, just imagine, instead of getting a UPS, you buy another battery, a 12 volt, a car battery, and plug it to it. You never have to worry about.
that's what Google did when they built their data centers. You know how their data centers are built? It's fantastic. They revealed it in 2014 or something, and so those data centers are. I'm talking when they started as a small company, and they figured out that just buying these PCs and setting them up because they had to grow really fast was so cumbersome, and they didn't want to pay the excess. There's a lot of excess heat going on out of these batteries, and they needed to figure out how to deal with that. And so when they designed their first data center from scratch, they started by designing the boards. And so the computer manufacturer that they bought from, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Dell, but I don't remember. They custom made a board where there's no power, where instead of a power supply, there's you feed in a battery.
Right.
And so each board has its own battery, right? And you had some power supply feeding those boards. So if you have a battery, what's that?
I was saying, if you build it to the carrier standard, it would all be 48 volts DC.
Exactly.
And then all you have to do is step it down or up. You don't have to convert it.
Right. And that simplifies power supply, simplifies air conditioning design, it's like simplified so much. And they didn't need to they don't have UPSs because they don't need those.
Right.
Every board has its own personal UPS. If a board fails or if a battery fails, it only affects a single board, not an entire system. And that was ingenious, right? But when you think about it, laptops have been doing it since they were introduced.
Yeah, because there was no room for.
Right. I wonder why we haven't seen yet desktop computers with a built-in where the PSU comes with a backup battery. That would be the simplest thing in the world, right? So,
kind of wonder why. Yeah.
I would say it's probably weight limitations and the total draw in watts of a desktop over a laptop. Laptops are designed for low power consumption, whereas desktops, you can get as much as you want, right? You can have 1,000-watt power supply.
Right, but think about businesses. They would buy.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. So, in fact, I'm trying to think now. that there were some companies, some manufacturers that made hardened machines for certain industries, like in the oil industry or whatever, where they have these locations where they have very irregular power.
Okay.
They have built-in
So the
batteries.
PSU was a UPS as well.
Yes. Yeah. But it's very, very specialized. It's not standardized at all. They came up with a way that they might use a regular system board, but the housing and all that stuff is completely proprietary. So,
All right.
Department of Defense stuff. Oh, one last thing before we go. Interesting story. If you saw this, they're looking now. Researchers are looking at Starlink satellites to use as a new GPS system.
Yeah.
That they're looking at, and they're designing software that will use the Starlink satellites' position and delays to give you an exact location.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's so much more widespread than GPS. Well, but it is limited to the States, I think, right?
Well, the further away you are, the more accurate the differences in timing will be, like with a geosynchronous satellite as opposed to a GPS. But GPS is not geosynchronous. They move. They're not in. But the point is, the way they determine location is to look at the difference in timing between satellites as you move.
Right.
And the more samples you have, the more satellites you have, the higher accuracy you have, because you have that many more
right.
triangulations. So more than triangulating. So I wonder. Yeah, it's interesting. They said, but they'll be able to use it. They think they're going to be able to use it to pinpoint location like GPS.
Well, yeah, they did. They already did.
Accuracy down to 8 meters.
Yep.
6
satellites gives you 8-meter accuracy.
And it's not controlled by a government entity.
I'm
not saying that's like that I'm trusting myself in Elon Musk, but it just means there's going to be competition.
Now,
right? And that's interesting.
The interesting thing in the article said that the researchers that came up with this did not need permission from Starlink. They did not need to have anything running on the satellites. They did everything. The only thing is
right. They're just reading
that's all.
The data that is unencrypted and is transmitted in the air. Yeah.
Right.
Which
That's
is
how GPS works, right?
Which is necessary for anybody to connect to the satellite.
Exactly.
It doesn't start out proprietary. It turns proprietary once you link to it. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, it's that time of day again. Thanks, Spence. Thanks, God.
Welcome.
And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dana, Dina, Arlette and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K. Now, we hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick does his news show on WAAV in Wilmington, 980 The Wave. And Tuesday at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian are doing the Infection Podcast, a survival game show on Twitch, 7 p.m. Tuesday. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.